So today our focus is on slope, and the slope of a line is equal to the ratio of rise over run. So if I have this line right here, and this is 0.1 and this is 0.2, how high does it go, and then how far over does it go? And a mathematical formula for this is y2 minus y1, because that will give you the distance traveled upwards, over x2 minus x1, which will give you the distance traveled over. So for example, if this coordinate was 0, 1, and this was 3, 4, we would take y2, which is 4, minus y1, which is 1, over x2 minus x1. So we'd get 4 minus 3, 3, and then 3 minus 0, 3. So that has a slope of 1. And we always write slope with a m. So m of this line equals 1. So there are 4 types of slopes. You can have a positive slope, which means that your line is increasing. You can have a negative slope, which is decreasing. You could have a slope who equals 0, which means that, which is a horizontal line. It's always a horizontal line because this line right here, this point right here has a different x value, but it has the same y value. So if you were to put that in the formula, you'd get y, it has the same y value because they're on the same place on a graph. So if you were going to put this in the formula, you'd get y1 minus y1, which would give you 0 over whatever this equals. So you'd get 0 over a number. So you have a slope of 0. If you have a vertical line, it has an undefined slope. Because if you think about it, this point is x1, y1, and this point would have the same x value, but a different y value. So if you were to plug it in the formula, you'd get y2 minus y1 over x1 minus x1. So you get a 0 on the bottom and some number on top, and you cannot divide a number by 0. You can't take a number and divide it by nothing, because that means you just can't do it. So whenever we get a number over 0, it is an undefined slope. So now we're going to do some examples. Find the slope of each line. So we're going to do the 2 easiest ones first. First, this horizontal line, this is line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. So the slope of line 1 equals, it's a horizontal line, so that means that it has a 0 slope because it's not moving up any, it's staying constant across the board. So the slope of line 2, we have 2 points right here. And there's 2 different ways you can do it. You could literally count and say I go up 1 and over 2, and you'd find you have a slope of 1/2. But just to be safe, we're going to plug it into the formula. So I have 2 points right here, and if you look on the graph, you can figure out what they are. This point right here is 2, negative 2, and this point right here is 0, negative 1, 2, 3, negative 3. So if I plug this into the formula, I get y1, negative 2, minus y2, negative 3, over 1 minus, x2 minus x1. And negative 2 minus a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So negative 2 plus 3 is 1 over 2 minus 0 is 2. So either way, you'd get 1/2. So the slope of line 3 equals, line 3 is right here, and it's a vertical line. So right away, you should think it's an undefined slope. There's no other way to write that. All you do is say line 3 is undefined. So we have another one, line 4, so the slope of line 4. So we're going to do it both ways again. We could say we go from this point, we go up 2 and left 1, so that we have positive 2 over negative 1, which would give you negative 1, or you could plug it into the formula. So this point here is 0.22. This point here is 1, 1. Oh, sorry, negative 1, negative 2. So y minus y1 over x minus x1. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 over negative 1 plus positive 2, which gives me positive 1. And if you divide a negative by a positive, you get another negative. So the slope of that line is negative 1. So now we're going to talk about lines that have special kinds of slopes. So the slope of a parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have equal slopes. So the m of line 1 would equal the m of line 2. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if the slope of line 1 equals m, and line 1 is perpendicular to line 2, I'm going to take the opposite of m, which opposite is another word for, opposite means take the opposite sign. So if this is positive m, for line 2 I want negative m, and then I want the reciprocal of m, and the reciprocal is just 1 over m. So the slope of a perpendicular line is negative 1 over m, if m is your slope. I know that's a little confusing, so we're going to do some examples. So we want a line parallel to a line with a positive rise of 2 and a run of negative 3. So our formula is rise over run. So I have a positive rise of 2, positive 2, and a run of negative 3. So if we want a line parallel to this line, we want it to have a slope of negative 2/3. So a line perpendicular to a line whose slope is 4. So line 1, the slope of line 1 equals 4. So to find the slope of line 2, I'm going to take first the opposite. So since this is positive, I'm going to make it negative, and then I want the reciprocal of it. So the reciprocal of 4 is 1 over 4. So the slope of line 2 would equal negative 1 over 4. And that's all we're going to do with slope today. But this is going to help us when we do the equation of a line in a couple videos.